Hello, this is Luciano Votor, and I'll be doing my presentation on Ansel Easton Adams. He's an American who lived from 1902 to 1984, and yeah. This quote by John Tarkowski, pretty much the curator of the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Arts, sums up kind of the whole aspect of Ansel Adams as in the way that he took his pictures. He was very meticulous, and his process was very tedious. When he took his photos, they were very well thought out and planned, and weren't kind of like any snapshots or anything like that. And we'll be able to see this when we look at his photos and his style of taking the photos as well. So now I'll talk about some biographical information about Ansel Adams. He was born on February 20th, 1902 in San Francisco, California. He was born to a pretty affluent family. His grandfather had founded a successful lumber business, which was inherited by his father, but the actual business itself was lost in the financial panic of 1907. Since Ansel Adams was a very big conserver of the nature and the wilderness, he ended up actually fighting against his father's lumber business because they actually cut down redwoods, and Ansel Adams was very against that and was really up to trying to preserve nature and such stuff like that. When he was a younger kid, he was very hyperactive. Single-born child, very few friends. He was very sickly all the time. Pretty much not the greatest student. He didn't pay attention in school and ended up being schooled by private tutors and his own family at the age of 12. At the age of 12, he also taught himself how to play the piano, and it became an early passion for him. He kind of had this attitude that he might actually become a musician for the piano, and it also helped with his behavior and focus issues and kind of actually calmed him down. Ansel, as a kid, he pretty much had a passion for nature, so with his family vacation in 1916 to Yosemite National Park, he got this idea to start taking pictures and experimenting with photography. His father actually gave him a Kodak #1 box brownie, and this pretty much became the start of his photography career. After this trip, he pretty much came back to San Francisco and started to get more into photography and started learning darkroom techniques and went to many photography exhibits as well. So pretty much at the age of 14, this trip influenced him to become a photographer. And now I will discuss a little bit about Ansel's photographer career and the way it started pretty much. So in 1999, at the age of 17, he assumed a position as a janitor at the club lodge for the Sierra Nevada Club. It is pretty much here that Adams would become friends with many of the members of the club, and with his friendship with them, he'd become a part of their park conservation movement. This is what, this area of national parks and nature and beauty would later become part of expertise and the use of wildlife. And then using them to preserve and make national parks like Yosemite and such. This would also be the part in his life where he'd meet his future wife, Virginia Bess, and then they would end up marrying in 1928. In 1927, Adams met Edward Weston, who had a very big impact on Adams and the way he took pictures, as he kind of critiqued Adams and kind of advanced the maturity in his photos and the style and the way he took his photos. Weston would later become part of the same photo group as Adams, Group F64, which is very based on taking straight photographs and then showing the beauty and nature of nature pretty much in clear focus and nothing being blurry, unlike the pictorialist way of taking pictures, which was very soft at the time and was trying to be popular and trying to establish photography as an art. After he joined the Sierra Club, he was able to showcase his work to the other members and show his photography abilities, and this would later help him to get his own exhibition at the headquarters of the Sierra Club in San Francisco in 1928. His portfolio that he used at this time, called Parmelian Prints of the High Sierras, pretty much established him and got his work seen and shown to many other people. This exhibition included one of his most famous photographs, Monolith, the Face of Half Dome. The actual way the photograph was taken and his ideology at the time when he took the photo was, I don't know, immaculate. And it actually ended up leading to many commercial assignments from other companies such as Kodak and National Geographic. During this period, after he's kind of got his rise to fame from his portfolio, between 1929 and 1942 became the period in which Adams was most prominent and established most of his photographs, his most famous photographs. This period included joining of the group X64, as I mentioned before, and establishment of the zone system, which I'll later discuss, and his work with other photographers such as Edward Western, Imogen Cunningham, and others, who all had influence on his work and kind of had the same style of photography as him, which was pretty much the straight photography, in sharp, in focus, and preserving nature and showing the beauty of the West. And next I'll be moving on to some photographs by Ansel Adams and some of my descriptions on them. This first photo is by Ansel Adams. It's one of his earlier day photos, taken pretty much after he started getting his rise to fame, and he traveled to New Mexico and kind of just shot around there. He took a bunch of photos for a project here in New Mexico. Here we have a display of kind of one of his landscape photos, again here in Arizona. One of his later photos in 1940. Here's another one of his photos, kind of utilizing his zoning system and predetermination of what the photo will look like is one of the things that are very prominent in this photo. Here's another one. Here we can see the heavy use of Ansel Adams' zoning system again, picturing what the picture will look like before it actually takes a picture, and then making the adjustments to make it look well. Again, here's another. This one's an earlier one, pretty much at the time of his fame when he started rising and getting more popular. Another one in Yellowstone National Park. As you can see, he's very prominent about his landscape photos inside the national parks and showing the beauty, especially to conservationists, and trying to really establish the West as a place to try to conserve and show to future generations. This particular image is one of his more famous ones and more prominent ones. It was actually taken in New Mexico. I know he was traveling with other photographers as well, I think Edward Weston and such. And this photo is special in the sense that when he took this photo, it wasn't really planned out. He kind of just saw it in the moment and decided to take the photo. It kind of hopped out of the car and pretty much took the photo and hoped for the best. And this is what he got. He usually would have used a light meter, he said, and he didn't, and he kind of just played with it and thought it out in his head and was able to take and capture this photo the way it is. This is the one from earlier that pretty much iconic image that brought Adam to his fame. This is the main point of his first portfolio, and then also his first use of the zoning system, which is the idea of visualizing the picture beforehand, make the adjustments, and then taking the picture to what you think it will turn out to look like. And this was pretty much Ansel Adams' idea of how to take a picture. Here, another photo of New Mexico and his project from earlier days. Another prominent landscape photo. Another one in Kings River Canyon. Another landscape photo. And you can see that the vantage point of a lot of his photos are very straight on and very in focus, and especially like this one. You can see the ripples in the water and such. And again, like this one, showing the beautiness of the West. And now I'll talk about the significance of Ansel Adams. One of the things is he taught himself photography pretty much, kind of learned on his own, by practicing going to exhibits of others, reading magazines, and joining things like Sierra Nevada Club, which ended up strengthening his photography skills and then kind of contributing to his success. Adams had mentors such as Cedric Wright, who was an amateur photographer and good friend of his, and kind of influenced the way he took pictures. And Alfred Stieglitz would be a mentor as well, who not only helped Adams decide his photography style, but also got him to the groove F64 as well. Adams' actual style kind of stemmed from his first experiences with soft focus and pictorialist style, but which he later realized that he enjoyed actually the sharp focus and preciseness of exposure and manipulation of the darkroom. Thus, he became kind of part of the straight photography movement. Adams' time in photography was during a period in which many were trying to establish themselves as serious artists. However, instead of following that trend, Adams took to one specific cause, and this was preserving the beauty of the West. He wanted to show the beauty, and he did this by taking immaculate pictures like Monolith and Half Dome, as I described earlier. Thus, he thought it would make people want to conserve and start the process of making national parks in the U.S. Adams is really the one who started the efforts for this movement and kind of in what it continues today. Also, Adams had a knack for creating his own style and way of making his photographs. This is seen through his idea of the zoning system, which not only includes visualizing the tones of the photo, but how the picture will be seen as to the viewer, before even taking the photo. He also liked to utilize other manipulation techniques, not only in the darkroom to achieve a certain look, but while taking photos at the exact moment. In a photo such as Monolith, the face half dome, like I said earlier, he actually used a red filter to darken the sky and achieve the heavy saturated tones in the sky. And that's it.